It's one of my favorite things is making Mary giggle. She's got the most precious giggle. And so this has been an interesting journey, the two of us doing something side by side, because I think in abstract kind of, swirl around and toss things out, and she's more grounded. But we're working it, right? We're going to work this. And so I said, I get to go first. That's all there is to it. And then she'll bring it home. Because this idea that we're eager to share with you is this opportunity. It's being at the ending of something, the ending of a year, and the beginning of something new has something so fresh to it, like snow that hasn't been touched yet. And so with that, there's this awe and this possibility. And so we look out into that field of newness, new beginning, with such great anticipation. And Reverend Ken Gordon, his words that he wanted to share with everyone was to, really blessing all of our new days yet to be. But there's something that he said in particular that really grabbed me, and that was forgiving the past, yourself in the past. And I got to thinking about that, about how many times many of my New Year's intentions are based on the disappointments of myself that I've been living out each year, that come again. And so I find myself scribing similar longings for my spiritual journey. And I realized in all of that, I was striving for perfection. Oh, what's that? I'll never get that. And then I get depressed or disappointed in myself, and I need to forgive all that. It's just begin again. So I wanted to share those words with you so you can kind of follow where I'm going. And that took me into William Martin's work. He is the Taoist, and I absolutely love his stories that he has to share. And this particular one is, do I really want forgiveness? So think about this for your own self, because the invitation for you today is to offer prayer into your life in such a way that you really do see it as a spiritual tool that has such value and has such absolute truth. So do you really want forgiveness for yourself? Do you really want that? Because if you do, you wouldn't keep bringing it up. You would really let it go and put it down. So a man once came to a holy woman seeking a way to find forgiveness for his terrible mistakes. She instructed him to go to the nearby lake where he would find a boat. He was to get in the boat and row across the lake. On the other side, he would find a beach, and just beyond the beach, he would find the forgiveness he sought. Well, he did it exactly as the holy woman said. When he got to the lake, he found it larger and more forbidding than he had expected. He could not see the other side, but the boat was solid, comfortable, and loaded with all provisions, and he got in and began to row. He rowed all day, and just as the night was beginning to fall, he finally came to the far shore. There was indeed a small beach there, but beyond the beach lay a forest, dark and dense. Well, he was not going to go there at night, so he stayed in the boat, just off the shore. When morning came, he was disappointed to see that the beach seemed even smaller and less hospitable than he remembered from the night before. The forest seemed even more forbidding as well. He sat all day in the boat, wondering what to do. Finally, he decided to ask the holy woman for clarification. That's what he'd do. So he rowed back across the lake and walked back to the holy woman's hermitage. Oh, I saw no forgiveness on that shore. All I saw was a small beach and a dark forest, he whined. What should I do? You have to get out of the boat, shouted the holy woman. The man went off to find another person who might be able to help him find forgiveness for which he so eagerly sought. So, why do I share that with you? We all have to get out of the boat, right? We all have to get out of the boat. And I particularly recognize that as a truth for me. That's why I want to share it with you. If we don't ever get out of the boat and set foot on the new territory, which is symbolic of the new year, of what every scripture, every spiritual lesson has been pointing to us in so many words, trying to get our attention, just be present. Just keep your focus forward. Don't look back. Remember the pillars of salt and all of those stories? Every scripture, every wisdom from the ancients and the philosophers in the past, stay present, move forward, let it go. Let those burdens go. So I am speaking not so much, of course you can include the forgiveness for those that are in your world experience and in your past, but more importantly, today, on this day, forgive yourself. The boat. What is the boat that you're choosing to travel with in this year? Is it going to be the same old boat that you never let reach ashore? Are you going to free yourself or another? So you see, our conditioned mind, this conditioned human mind that we have, tends to draw us back to where it's always going to be more comfortable. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you must see where you are sitting in the place of deep comfort within yourself, so afraid to take that step to get out of that old boat. So do you really want to hang on to all your opinions, your judgments, your righteousness? Do you want to be more comfortable with what you are used to and those conditioned feelings of being, even inadequate or wrong at times? Do you want to just stay with that? Or do you want to have the freedom and the courage to step onto a new shore? And the forest is described as dark and dense because it's the unknown. But once you travel in and you smell the fragrance of the pine, and you see the birds, and you see the wildlife, you see what is before you, it is a calling of the heart to open yourself up. So do you really want forgiveness? I ask you, look at your life in this precious day in a new way and step into something greater, into what is so often called the presence. It's right here. Charlie's words to take the sound of the bell to a soul level, where did it land inside of you when you feel that calling home to the truth within you? So carrying resentment in your heart, always being upset with yourself because you're the victim of your choices forever, make up your mind. Make up your mind. It's going to take your courage, and it's going to bring up your feelings. And that's when you're going to start the battle within. It's going to bring up feelings. Feelings are okay. Feelings are a gateway to your greater truth. It could bring up feelings of bitterness and disappointment. It could even bring up a lot of anger inside of you. But I invite you to see what's in even that, to go beneath that in your consciousness through prayer, through your meditative practices, and say, what's beyond this? I feel this, but what is beyond this? One of the people that joined the meditation this morning felt so joyful afterwards, so almost in that space of glee, to know that place beyond the beyond. And it was such a beautiful testimony of what it means to sit in your spiritual practice and to be the truth. So you see, we're living in a cycle of going unconscious and then waking up. It's what we do. We go unconscious. We have an intention. Oh, I forgot. I wasn't going to drink a glass of wine. Oh, I just did. I was unconscious. Oh, well, I'm going to try again tomorrow. You see, you just put it down without the cursing of the self and say, I will try again tomorrow or today or in this moment. When you go unconscious and you wake up, it's simply the opportunity, and that's what this talk is about, begin again. Begin again. That's so refreshing. You know, we invent stories all the time as to why we can't do something, and I was called on it while my children were here. They were playing the Wii, and they were doing, what's it called? Charlie got that? Frisbee golf. And I kept saying, oh, I just enjoy watching. Oh, no, I couldn't, because I get so impatient with aiming at anything. I'm just like, and my son said, stop it. Stop hiding behind that. And I thought, oh, all right, I'll show them. And I couldn't seem to even let the Frisbee go. You have the gadget in your hand on Wii, and you're doing this kind of a thing, but I couldn't seem to. The Frisbee just stayed in my hand in the TV cartoon. And then I suddenly started to let go. And if I didn't think about it, I was really awesome. But when I tried to apply, and think about this, when I tried to apply all their wisdom, because they've been playing it, I kind of got lost in that because I couldn't find myself. I was leaning too much on what they were telling me to do. Isn't that how life is? So my son will turn me into the right direction all the time. It can be a little bit like, ooh, that kind of smarted, but then I realized I was just hiding. How many times are you hiding or blaming you can't do something because something hurts? In yoga, there's certain poses I don't do anymore because my knees creak and I don't want to freak people out. But it's like, so do it anyway. Begin again. Just keep trying. And so I'm looking at these moments of waking up when I've drifted off into an old story, an old excuse, an old habit. And I want to connect to my senses, close my eyes in that divine moment, open up my ears, and feel what is. To feel what is. Reach your threshold and then go beyond. Don't give your power up to anything, even those old excuses. That's why I'm so excited for this opportunity of a new year. I'm not going to give my power up, not to you, not to my old ways. I'm just going to keep staying in the present and see what feeds me right here, right now. Emerson says, do not be a slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas, dive deep and swim far, so you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, and with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. That's the invitation. To overlook what has been, to practice that self-forgiveness, and to begin again. Confucius says the greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising each time we fall. So in a moment here, I'm going to invite Reverend Mary up to share some of her wisdoms. And it's going to have a participation on your part. So it's going to have to do with prayer. We're asking you for your prayers, and we will take your prayers into our spiritual practice and bless your new year. So this quote from Ernest Holmes, life is an adventure in which we never know what is going to happen, but beyond the turn of the road. But too often our today is filled with regrets over the past. If we could convince ourselves that the limitation of the past need not be carried into the future, what a happy outlook we shall have. Today is the day of deep prayer for you, for forgiveness. There's a Native American prayer, teach me, earth, teach me. Teach me the freedom as the eagle which soars in the sky. Earth, teach me regeneration as the seed which rises in the spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself as melted snow forgets its life. Earth, teach me to remember kindness as dry fields weep with rain. O great Spirit, help me always to speak the truth quietly, to listen with an open mind when others speak, and to remember the peace that may be found in that silence. So Joey, for a few moments as the ushers are passing out the prayer requests, could you play just a few moments in transition? And ushers, you're handing out a prayer request. Look at that deeply. Reflect upon, and these are held. I want you to know you write whatever your heart wants you to write, whatever you find is stirred in your heart as we have shared our words with you. They're held in confidence. Only Mary and I will be holding these. You don't even have to put your name on it. But I'll invite Mary up, and in a few moments while Julie's playing, and then just a few moments. Thank you.
I invite you not to fill these out till you hear some of these words of wisdom. Thank you, Joey. The title of this little segment that I want to share with you is There Is Another Way. You know, as we approach the new year, no matter how screwed up things were this year, like my glasses right now, no matter how things were screwed up, no matter how people were mean to you, no matter how things just didn't work out for you, you can experience life differently. Because our lives are never so out of control that you're stuck. You're not hopeless. You don't live in a world of hopelessness. You know, to change your life, you don't have to move away. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to change other people. It's an inside job. You've probably heard the phrase, change your thinking, change your life. Well, that can sound either too simple or very, very hard. But you know, scientists have studied this field of energy that we live in. It permeates the world around us. And in this energy, there is a power that responds to our feelings. And when I say feelings today, I'm going to go feelings, because I want you to remember that word. Because our feelings are both positive and negative. So there is a power for good in the universe, and it always responds to us beyond what we can physically see. I wanted to share that this morning because, a couple years ago, my hairdresser said to me, is there a book I can give my clients? Because week after week, my clients come in and all they do is moan and groan about their life. And I said, you know, if I'd offer them a book, I don't know if they'd even read it if they're that depressed. So what I actually did was go home and I wrote a booklet, and it's called There Is Another Way to Regain Happiness in Your Life. And I just printed some of these out, and they're on the board desk in the foyer. And Sylvia said, oh, I want one of those to give to both of my daughters, because sometimes we have friends and family members that are so focused on the negative, they forget that there's another way. For those who've been around a while, consider this a refresher. But for those of you who are new or here for the first time, I invite you to listen up and then pick up one of these booklets, and then maybe this afternoon go to a park or a quiet place, and all you need is the booklet and a pen, and you can see how you can open up your heart and your mind to think more positively about life. So on that card that you just got, where it says release, what is it that makes you sad or depressed or angry or frustrated? What is that? Don't you want to release that? Whatever makes you sad, depressed, frustrated, or angry. It could be in the area of work, it could be in friendships, relationships, it could be prosperity, and you know, relationships these days also include politics, so don't want to ignore that, because that's one of those issues that makes many people frustrated and angry and blah, blah, blah. Or it could be something like this. My partner constantly criticizes me. That could be something you'd want to release or want to change in your life. You know, not everyone feels the same way that you do. It's the negative experiences that make you feel frustrated, angry, etc. How often on the news do we look at the news and we feel frustrated? And we wish we could share that with some people. But when we're constantly feeling criticism, frustration, why are we choosing pain? Why are we choosing to feel that way? Because when we feel that way, every cell in our body closes up and says, whoa, that's a toxic feeling. That's a toxic feeling. That's a toxic thought. When I feel angry and frustrated, my body goes into protection. And it just doesn't operate normally. Yet, you know, it can be kind of a cool thing to always have something to complain about to everyone you meet. How are you doing? Oh, well, you know, this or that. Or, hey, what do you think about what's happening? And going to a tirade about things that aren't the way you feel they should be. But surely there's something positive out there that can be done, something positive out there that you can feel good about. And I would say if it's a chocolate chip cookie, hey, that's a start. That's a start. One of my favorite quotes from Raymond Charles Barker is, you are the result of your past decisions and you will become an experience what you have in your present decisions, the result of your present decisions. Because we believe and we know from many studies that have been done that when we have these negative energies, that it's like magnets that draw other negative experiences to us. Does it make you feel bad when you're complaining and negative? Why continue? Does it feel hard to change your attitude? How addicted are you to pain and suffering? We don't think negativity is pain and suffering, but how does it make you feel? If it makes you feel bad, it's pain and suffering. But you know, I understand that if you change your attitude and you change your way, your friends may not like you so much. Wait a minute, you used to be right with us and all this awful stuff. They might find it too hard to be around. But if we use the example, my partner constantly criticizes me, as a practitioner, I'm looking for the underlying feeling. That feeling might be, I deserve it because I'm not too smart. Ah, that's the reason. Ah, now we're getting somewhere. So what we're really wanting to release is that I think I'm not too smart, that I feel I'm not too smart. And then on the other side of that card, what we want to embrace instead. Now, if you think you're not too smart, I'm going to say, you know, God created you with a mind, with a brain. You are smart enough to live this life in a positive, life-affirming way. You know, Chris Johnson wrote that wonderful song, what you dwell upon, you become. What you give your attention to is what life turns out to be. How about dwelling on inner peace? Dwelling on inner peace. So another example, if your issue was, I don't make good decisions, somewhere you started believing you're not too smart. So there are times, you know, in the past we've made decisions that maybe we could have done better, but we were doing the best we could with what we had, with what we knew, with the energy that we had. You're the only person that can change that, the only person. So I invite you today to look at what you want to release and look at what you want to embrace on the backside of that card. And our prayers will help you do that, because prayers are energy in motion. Here's an idea. I choose positive solutions and trust that the intelligence of the universe has the wisdom to make positive experiences happen in my life. I trust the universe. Oh, already I'm starting to feel lighter. I don't have to do it alone. And once we start feeling that lightness, we feel that lightness, We're connecting with the universe, with the energy in the universe. It's like that feeling you get by the ocean or walking along the beach. You know, there's precious moments when we feel oneness with the universe. Try this one. I forgive myself for harboring any negative feelings against myself or others. That's a big one, forgiveness. What are we forgiving? That someone is being who they are? That someone is being only what they know to be? Or are we forgiving ourselves? Feeling like we forgive ourselves is very powerful. Because when we're holding that angst against ourselves, again, every cell in our body's like, whoa, toxic energy. So replacing those negative thoughts and opinions of our own being is very powerful. And that's what these prayer cards are here for you to do. Know that there's a higher power in the universe, and it is constantly supporting everything you believe, everything you feel. It supports you in that. So I invite you, it's New Year's Eve. Oh, feel joyful, feel happy, feel special because you are. Focus on the goodness and love in life. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from just this short little talk this morning is one word, and what do you think it is? Feelings. Know them, recognize them, see them for what they are. We call them an attractor factor. I like that, attractor factor. What you're attracting, if it's not pleasant and beautiful and loving, you can change it because there is another way. There is another way. So join me in knowing that today, as we are all individual expressions of God, here on this earth, here in Redding, California, of all places, we are love in action. The past is the past. The future is the future. All we have is this moment where there is nothing to fear. So we open our eyes, our inner eyes, to see what's in there that's been pulling and attracting things to me that I feel uncomfortable about. What have I been giving to others that I feel uncomfortable about? And today I recognize there's a new way to regain a greater level of happiness in my life. You know, Spirit, I accept that for everyone here. I accept it because it's real, it's tangible, it makes a difference, it manifests, guaranteed. So I have great gratitude for this power that we carry with us. Great gratitude in knowing how it works, in feeling the joy and love that comes with it. So I release anything that would hold us back, knowing today there's always a way. And I say, thank you, God, and so it is. Thank you.